we are.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, everybody. This is Michelle with Moksha Grace Coaching, and thank you for being here today. And
I am Krista Barone with Wicked Wisdom Consulting. Thanks for joining us today.
if you are here, which you would be here hearing me say if you're here, please drop a comment, drop your name, let us know where you're calling from. Or
Calling from?
I know I didn't mean that.
Are
Let
we
us
selling
know.
jewelry late at night? What is happening?
Let us know where you're at and you're watching us from, and yeah, and how you're doing with your intentions and resolutions and all that good stuff, because that is going to be the basis of our conversation today.
And I do want to just say we have some work being done in the yard, so you may hear the rumble of a machine in the background. Just ignore it.
We're all good. We're not going to be run over or anything. So
I would hope not in our dwellings.
So this is moment of presence, and that means that we bring ourselves into the moment. So even though you hear noises and may see a machine going behind Krista's window, uh, we are going to bring ourselves into the moment, because if we are not present, then we're really not focused on what we're doing or what we're hearing, and it's not being absorbed the right way. So let's just be intentional about being here. So we're going to take 3 deep breaths, and we're going to hold at the top, and then we're going to exhale. And my suggestion is bring up what's happened over the course of the last 9 days, the first 9 days of the year, and just kind of feel around. You let those emotions come up. Just observe how you're feeling, and then when you exhale, just let them go. So big deep breath in and hold. 3, 2, and 1. Slow exhale. We're not blowing out a birthday candle. Not yet, anyway. We will be at the end of the year for my husband and your father. Yes, a month. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, that big deep breath in. Maybe I'll be thinking about centering myself, really grounding in the moment. Slow exhale out. And big deep breath in. And slow exhale. Nice. Feel good?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, let's get into this. So, how many people do you think set intentions or a resolution and they're still doing it?
I mean, I don't know that many people. I'll just speak generally for all people. I would say maybe I'm feeling like 40% of people are still doing their resolutions.
I think last year, when I looked it up, the number was like 10% will make it to the end of the first month. And I think that was high.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's a lot of people, and I noticed the reason I wanted to do this was I noticed like January 2nd, everybody had these grand declarations on the first, I'm going to give this up, or I'm not going to do this anymore, and I'm going to make this happen. And then by day 2, I saw people going back into uh, complaining mode, and
hmm
and
There's
it
a
just
lot of, never mind, 2026 is going to be my year.
and it's like we're only 9 days in.
hmm
So, last week we talked about asking, right? Setting that intention and asking for what we want. And so this week I wanted to go over if, we're following law of attraction and the steps, step 2 and 3. Because if you're going to do step 1, you better make sure 2 and 3 are set up so
Mm-hmm.
that way you know how to get what it is that you asked for. So it's all about perspective.
Right.
And it's 9 days. Those that are saying 2026 is my year, are you telling me that 9 days is going to ruin 365? Like it's going to ruin the whole entire year, or
Right.
even one bad day. But is that bad day really a bad day, or was it a bad hour or a bad couple minutes? And is that going to like take out your whole day? So it's all about perspective. Yeah, there's some stuff happening around the world, but that's typical. There's always going to be stuff happening around the world, and we get to decide and choose what we focus on. Are we
Mm-hmm.
going to focus on only the bad stuff that's happening? Are we going to focus on the good stuff that's happening?
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that you should turn your back on things that are going on that you should be aware of, but it just means where are you putting the majority of your focus?
Right.
So for me, when I ask, what I typically will do is go into gratitude, start thinking about my blessings.
Mm-hmm.
You can call gratitude blessings, whatever you want. That's
Mm-hmm.
what you love the most. Um, and go in, run that off in your head if you need to, especially if you're having a bad moment, and bring yourself into that feeling of love, that feeling of gratitude. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how we realign with what it is that we're asking for. Because if we're not aligned, you can ask all you want, and God, the universe, sitting there going with all the bags, right? Like shopping bags. I
Mm-hmm.
got your stuff. But if you're not opening the door, how is it going to be delivered to you?
Yeah. Well, and if you're too obsessed with how it's gonna get delivered, that makes it more difficult as well.
Right. And that's the overthinkers in us. And we all do it. We
Mm-hmm.
all overthink, or we uh over exaggerate, over explain,
Mm-hmm.
over anticipate, go into judgment. And who are we to judge how things are delivered? That's like ordering a pizza and then, getting upset on the path that the delivery person takes.
I mean, I might do that if like my pizza's late.
Okay. What if they went around a big, you know, accident? We don't know what's out there. We don't know why they took the path that they took,
True.
and we don't have
True.
control over it either. And if we wanted that much control over it, get in your car and go get your dang pizza. And that's the other thing. And I don't know about you, but it drives me crazy when it's like, well, I want this, or this. Where is it? And yet no one did anything. That person didn't
Yeah. I
move
mean,
toward.
part of that I think is it's hard to. I feel like you can only explain this process in so many ways, and yet I still think that we fail to find words that really truly capture what law of attraction means and what the steps look like. And I think it can be misleading if you're not familiar with it, because it does. It's anything you look up about law of attraction. It's like, you know. Set your intention, tell the universe what you want, and then let it come to you. And I'm like, okay, well, if you could take that as all right, I'm just gonna sit back then and let it come to me.
Just sit back and wait.
Mm-hmm.
Good afternoon, Raymond. Thank you for joining us. Um, yeah, I mean, law of attraction, and it's a universal law. Like attracts like, and when you think of it that way, then if you're always in a grumpy mood, you're going to get more things to be grumpy about,
Yeah.
and you're also going to attract grumpy people.
Mm-hmm.
because we all like to hang out together. So you
Well,
want to make
and like attracts like, but also that, I mean, that applies to people around us. It applies to
Mhm.
what our vision looks like, which means that if you're in a shitty mood and you go on social media, your feed is gonna be shitty too.
Right, because that's what you've been looking at.
Hmm.
And that's why you do have to go and clean it up. And just like you clean up your social media, you should be cleaning up your energy too. And
Hmm.
so if you're feeling in a shitty mood, then the question is why? Why am I feeling in a shitty mood? What's happening? And is it happening to me? Is it something I can control? Is it coming from love? Is it coming from fear? I mean, these are the questions that I ask myself because I find myself in a bad mood. It's normal, or a sad mood, or, you know, stuff bothers me. And then I'm like, oh, why? Why? Why is this bothering me? And so you have to get curious with yourself too. So, the universal law is one thing. That sounded interesting. We
Well, look
don't
at what it
see
says.
things as they are, we see things as we are. Yes, absolutely. And I love that this has butterflies on it because I literally will go outside and test where I'm at as far as attraction. I will go outside and I will look around me, calm myself, do my deep breathing,
Hmm.
and I will notice, are the butterflies and dragonflies, or birds, whatever it is, are they
Yeah.
coming closer to me or are they backing off?
Yeah.
And it allows me to calibrate and go, oh, well, wait a second. Okay, let me chill out. Let me take some more deep breaths. Let me calm down, shake it out. If you
Hmm.
have to dance it out, I don't care. But let it go. Change shift your energy, be in that gratitude. Put on a great song that, puts a smile on your face.
Right.
And then take a look around you and where are the butterflies, the dragonflies, what have you. And
Hmm.
if they've come closer to you, then guess what? Your energy's better.
Yeah. And I think that's a really fun way to kind of play with your energy too. Cause like I know there's been plenty of days where like, you know, all of the dogs want to sit with anyone else but me. And I'm like, damn, what energy am I putting off? Or I've had days where like I'm in like I've actually been both ways where I've either been like in a really grumpy mood or I've been like super hyper focused. And I look at my calendar and go, it'd be great if I had some open time here. And then all of a sudden I get a cancel or a reschedule of one of my meetings or something
Yep.
like that. Or like my afternoon clears out for some reason. Um, little things like that, or like you said, the butterflies. How close wildlife is coming to you really says a lot.
Yes. Fun story. I was outside taking care of the animals this morning and feeding them, and it was okay. I was going to say it's freezing. It's freezing to a Floridian. It was really cold.
47 degrees is cold.
For us,
I don't
it
care.
is.
No, 47 degrees is cold. I don't care where you are. I think everyone can acknowledge 47 is cold. Maybe not the bitter cold of up north, but it's cold.
So I looked up and I saw this humongous, and he's lived here for a very long time, a humongous orange iguana, and
Oh,
he's
no
up in the
doubt.
tree, and he's all the way at the tip top of the tree,
I
and
bet he is.
all he wants is that sun.
Hmm.
And guess what? Not only did he wish for sun, but he put himself in the space where he knew the sun would shine. So therefore, as the world woke up this morning, he was already on that limb
Yep.
and he was getting warm.
And interesting, it's like he trusted
Oh,
God, the universe,
huh.
Mother Nature, to provide him with what he needed.
Like the sun's going to come up and shine. And that is the whole point of law of attraction, is having the trust and the faith that everything is going to work out the way that it is supposed to for whatever it is that you asked.
Yeah.
Now, again, like you said, you asked for more space. Some people would go, "Oh my God, I got cancellations and my whole day freed up. What am
Oh
I
God,
going
no.
to
Every time I see
do?"
that, I'm like, okay, I'm not meant to be on that call today. Good, I can focus on other things. No problem.
Exactly. But there's some people out there that would be like, "Oh my gosh, my chance to make money just went out the door." And so again, perspectives. Did it go out the door, or is it allowing you because that person wasn't the right person on your schedule for whatever reason, and another person that is right for you is going to be booking?
Well, here's the thing. Let's say it's a consultation or a free call or whatever, an entrepreneur is offering. Maybe that person, if they had gone through with the call with you, wouldn't have been in the mood to hear what you had to say. Maybe that person
Absolutely.
wasn't in the place to spend any money with you, but
Yep.
they rebook for a week or 2 weeks or a month later, and all of a sudden they're buying everything that you have to offer.
Right. So it's all about asking,
Mm-hmm.
trusting, and having faith that the universe, God, is going to provide,
Mm-hmm.
and then aligning ourselves like the iguana did up in the tree
Mm-hmm.
in order to receive.
Right.
Because if we're not open to receive it and we're just going to reject it when it comes to us because we're in a shitty mood, well, we didn't open the door and it's standing on the other side.
Let me ask you this: what does being in receiving mode look like? What does it look like or feel like? Like, how do we know? How do we get ourselves in the receiving mode, or how do we know that we're in the receiving mode?
That's a really good question, and I think that you have to understand what receiving mode even feels like, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
how do you get yourself there if you don't even know what it feels like?
Yeah.
So when like using your example, when you have that moment and you look at your schedule and you are booked so tight and
Yeah.
you're like, "Oh my God, if I could just get like just a little bit of a break, just a little bit of a reprieve." And then all of a sudden you get exactly what you asked for.
Mm-hmm.
That moment of like relief and
Yeah.
like spaciousness,
Oh, so
that's
kind of like when I'm driving somewhere and I think to myself, "Oh, it would be so sick if this song came on next," and then it does.
right. Or God, this person's going really slow. I just wish there was an opening so that I could go around them. And then all of a sudden, the person turns or the other person turns that's next to you. And now there's an
Yeah.
opening and you go around the car.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be something that simple, or it could be, um, you know, for those that are dealing with the snow, like if I could just like when I get off work, like if it could just stop snowing so I can get home or get to my car,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't care after that, but
Mm-hmm.
just let me get some warmth.
Yeah.
And then it does, and
Yeah.
it's not receiving mode. Or
So those are examples of the receiving mode, or you're receiving what you're looking for. What tips do you have to get into the receiving mode?
Well, before we go there, I also want to talk about being adaptable, because that's part of being in the receiving mode is once something happens
Mm-hmm.
that you've asked for, but maybe it wasn't delivered exactly the way you want it. It's being open to whatever is coming your way because ultimately it's getting you to where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
So for those that say, God, I can't stand my boss or I can't stand my job, and I just wish I could do something different, and then you get fired.
Yeah.
Well, okay, receive that and trust that what you actually want is probably on the other side of this job. It's not going to
Yeah.
happen where you are now. It's going to happen at the next position. But
Right.
what is that going to look like? And then
Right.
it's being open to see that. And so it's also when I talk about being adaptable, it's like emotionally flexible. Like imagine like Muhammad Ali, right? He's fast on it. He was fast on his feet, and he would
Mm-hmm.
weave and he would bob and he would get out of the way, and that's kind of how we have to like maneuver life.
Mm.
And so we have to be ready. We have to be prepared for whatever's coming, whatever's happening, and be able to move, right? Be able to be still, but
Mhm.
also be ready to move.
Yeah.
And that's how you can be in receiving mode and also be able to take action towards what you want. Somebody can say, I want to lose 20 pounds. Well, you can't just sit in your desk chair and lose 20 pounds. But if you start all of a sudden on your feed pops up meal prep or meal delivery, and it's stuff that's good for you and is going to help you and it's going to
Mhm.
save you time and you can afford to do it, and well, maybe that was divinely timed. And then all of a sudden, your neighbor got rid of their
Treadmill.
treadmill, right? And you're like, huh, treadmill, cool. And then you bring it. And so now you're getting on the treadmill, you're getting yourself in a routine. And then all of a sudden, notice that, oh, I am losing weight. Huh.
Yeah. Quick distinction. Um, you can't just base that stuff off of ads that you see on social media, though.
True.
So there's the example of you see meal prep, but then your neighbor's like throwing out a treadmill and asks if you want it or something like that.
Right.
And also look into things before you do them. So like there's that whole Ozempic thing right now, and what people don't
Yeah,
realize
don't
is
do
that
that.
it's literally like you lose weight because you're losing muscle,
Right.
and people are having like liver failure situations. So like research. Not
Research.
everything is for everybody. Do your research, look into things, but yeah,
Yeah.
ads are meant to target you and target what you're
Yeah.
looking for. So don't base your life off of
No.
social media ads. That's all. Just
It,
wanted to
it
add that
it
in.
could be that somebody happens to be having a conversation in the break room, whatever, at
Mhm.
work, and it happens to be something that is exactly what you wanted to know more about.
Yeah.
And also, don't be afraid to ask for help either. That's the other thing. We can ask for what we want, but if we don't know exactly how to get it, but we know someone else that does, reach out and ask.
Well, and not only that, but to get a little bit touch on like spirituality a little bit, uh, higher beings, God, archangels, um, guardian angels,
Guides.
angels, guides, all of that requires you to ask for their assistance. Anything supernatural, anything of a higher power will not interfere because we all have free will. And so you actually have to do the asking of, I need help with this situation. Now, you do have to be careful how you ask and who you ask, and you need to be specific on who you're asking, but you do have to ask for the help to get it.
Absolutely.
And when I say be careful of who you're asking, don't just put it out into the ethers of anybody who can help me, because you may get some unkind characters that decide to give you a little something for something in return. So you really want to be specific as to who that you are asking for their assistance.
Right. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I'm sure there's a
Yeah.
few people out there
I was gonna
watching
say
that
that are
that,
probably
that
going, yeah,
yeah,
Krista.
exactly. So, last week we talked about intentions. Um, what was I'm trying I know my intention was to be I think it was like to be more open. Um,
Well, here I'll let you think a little bit more. One of
what was
mine was
yours?
I liked your idea a lot of like taking pictures every day. And
Yeah.
so I was talking about posting every day. And so I've been posting at least one. I think I missed one day, but I'm not going to hold it against myself. Um,
Nice.
I've been posting at least once a day on the Tropic Country Acre page, and it's been really fun.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I
Yeah.
did
And
notice.
that's my Instagram and Facebook for all of our animals. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, and it's a very fun Instagram, and it's a very feel good Instagram to
Yeah.
follow.
I think
Uh,
I still have
and so, as we were talking about that, you want to check your feed just like you're checking your energy. You want to check your feed
it. Hmm.
and make sure if you're getting a bunch of stuff that you're looking at and it just makes you feel crappy,
Yeah.
then you need to unfollow some people, some
Yeah.
groups, some things.
Well, and here's the thing. You don't even have to unfriend them. There's a thing on Facebook and Instagram, and I'm sure there is on Twitter and the TikTok and everything. I go Vince Vaughn with TikTok. Where you can just mute people. You don't have to unfriend them. They don't have to know, but you can at least mute the accounts that you don't have to see it. You can mute stories. You can mute their account. Like, you can mute all of it. So that way you don't have to see it, but you also don't have to cause any sort of issue between you.
Right.
Same goes for groups, pages, etc.
And it's important. And you can also take a break from social media too. Ha 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 ha.
That is a good. Now listen, I do know that that's challenging, especially for those who have a small business, a side hustle, something like that. And I used to be a big arguer of, well, no, but you've got to be on if you have a small business and all that. You can cut it down.
Yeah,
you can. There's ways to do it where you keep your interactions minimal. You go on, you post your stuff, and you get off.
Yeah. And you can also do it. You can, do it in certain times. Like, give yourself a block. I give myself 30 minutes. I'm in, I'm out, I'm done, and then move on. And maybe you do that twice a day.
Yeah.
If you listen to a bunch of podcasts, I love this one podcast, but there are times when that person is very, very negative, and when that person gets into a very negative mode, I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out. And then if I see that he is a higher energy a different day, then I'll listen.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to listen to a whole hour. And to be honest, and you know this, sometimes Abraham Hicks will rub me like this, and it's like, oh, I can't listen to that one. It sounds like she's yelling at me.
It's funny. I think about when we went to see Abraham Hicks back in December, and we talked about the drive there was
horrendous.
Horrific. Trying to get into the building was horrific. And so I thought it was really interesting. I think about it all the time, how for the first, those seminars are broken up into segments, and in between you do segments of refreshment where you can go run to the restroom, grab a snack, whatever it is. For the entire first segment, I couldn't hear what she was saying. Now, I have high frequency hearing loss, so I figured, oh, this is just going to be the day. I'll just have to cut my losses. I can't understand what she's saying because there's so much background noise and it's interfering with my ability to hear her clearly. And I realized that after the first break, I was able to understand her.
Really?
And so I thought it was not perfectly, but I could at least understand. I could get the gist of what was happening, where the first segment, I could not understand a word she was saying. And I just thought it was interesting that I got there in a very bad mood. And if you know everything about Abraham Hicks, very high level energy. And as my mood regulated and came back down, went back up, not came back down, went back up, I started to be more on a resonance where I could actually hear her.
Yeah. I love that. And, I love that you brought that up because when we pulled up, when we were driving around and parking and that just a whole thing, I remember thinking to myself, like, I wanted this day to go so much smoother.
Yeah.
And so much better. And just, I wanted something to like kind of reset, like I just kept like, we just need something, like I hit the refresh button, refresh.
Yeah.
And as soon as we walked in, that one guy that I guess worked with them was like, oh, are you here for, and he was like so calm. And he was like, are you here for the Abraham Hicks?
Yeah, I couldn't really hear or see him either, but again, I think that was just when if you ever have been to Florida and Miami, you know the rage that you will never find me in the Miami area. I don't
ever again.
Jesus Christ himself could be making an appearance and have sent me a personal invitation, and I will say, I will send you a car to come up to Broward.
How about if I drive you?
No. That's even worse.
So
I say respectfully and lovingly.
So we get there, and this very nice gentleman, just very
nice.
Very calm, very lovingly, like you could just feel his energy. And it was just like, are you, because normally, like if someone asks you, they're like, who wants to know? You know, especially when you're in like that blind rage. Like, why are you asking me that? Do I look like I need Abraham Hicks? Well, yes, you do at the moment. So it was just so nice to have that greeting of that
Mhm.
person. And then we got in, and it was so funny because we get in, and there's like, in my head, because now I'm blindly
Mhm.
raging
Mhm.
blindly, and I'm looking around, and there's no freaking seats up front, and I'm like, and all I'm thinking is, I just wanted everything perfect for you. Really, I was like,
Yeah.
I couldn't care less. I would have stood in the back of the room, which, funny enough. Um, but we're looking around for seats, and now I'm getting like teary and angry, and
Teary. I'm pretty sure a tear rolled down your cheek.
I'm pretty sure too. And it was a little bit of a temper tantrum that I was having. And then all of a sudden, the I saw this one spot where there were these seats, and it was the last row, but
Literally the last row.
literally the last row. But I could also, as I stood there, I looked, and it was like a perfect straight shot to the stage. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, this is the best we're gonna do. And so we sat down, and we kind of both needed our a little bit of separate space for a moment.
I mean, we
And
sat next
then
to each other,
the
but
nicest young guy sat next to us, or we sat next to him, and he had been to Abraham Hicks before, and he was just, I was like, was he planted here by them? Like I thought that for a moment. I was like, is he a plant? Like, does he do
mhm.
that? And he sees people that are like,
Mhm.
aggro, like he picks
Mhm.
up on their energy, and then he like helps to calm the room down. I
Yeah.
don't know. Because he was a little mysterious about some things. He didn't answer all the questions, but it was just everything turned out fine.
Mhm.
And when the two people in front of us left, and then we had a total open,
Mhm.
that's the kind of thing we're talking about. You ask,
Mhm.
you shift your energy, shift your perspective,
Mhm.
and you receive. And
Yeah.
we, in that day, in that hour, that's exactly what we did. We
Yeah.
went through actually all four steps.
Yeah. I also think there's a distinction here too of it also doesn't mean though to try to fake or force your way out of feeling emotions. And so like in that moment when we were there, I would use the word to describe myself as enraged or irate.
Right.
And I knew that when I'm at that level, because just for context, I'm not like someone, I mean, when I was younger, maybe I flew off the handle, but like we almost got hit in the car at like multiple times on the way there
Mhm.
from people like trying to shoot across the highway. That we were given poor directions, which then made us 45 minutes. Like there were multiple situations that stacked on top of each other. Like it's not just me being irrational. I
Right.
just
No.
want to put
No,
that out
no,
there.
no. It was
But yeah, like it was a very stressful, ridiculous situation. But anyway, I also did not force myself or try to speed up the process of me feeling better or getting back in a better energy. I knew if I'm at this level of frustration and anger, I have to let myself. It's kind of like letting you, like if you've ever worked with a pressure cooker, you can't just open the top. You got to release the steam and let it slowly, or if you've ever canned anything,
right.
you have to release the pressure slowly. You can't just be like, everything's fine, I'm good. Like it just doesn't work that way.
Right.
We talked about it with the emotional guidance scale. You can't get from severe depression to absolute
Bliss.
joy and
Right.
bliss in a single second. And
Right.
so the other part of this though is not judging where you're at and allowing yourself to naturally come out of the emotion that you're in and allow yourself to feel the emotion you're in, because if you just try to put on a mask, the only person you're fooling is yourself.
Right.
The people around you are going to know, you're going to know, God, source, universe is going to know. Like you're not fooling anybody.
Yeah.
And you actually get through it quicker if you don't fight against it.
Exactly. If you don't resist it, and you just
Yeah.
allow the feelings to come through, and not judge yourself for it. And we're going to be talking about this for the next 2 weeks, because there are these different steps, and each one is very specific.
Mm-hmm.
Um and yet not.
Yeah.
And everyone has their own process, and you probably do it without knowing it. Like,
Yeah.
we weren't thinking, okay, let me go through step 1, let me go through step 2, let me go through
Yeah.
like, we weren't thinking about it. We just did it. But we've also, the two of us together, we have done a lot of work, and so
Mhm.
we've learned how to process things, and we
Yeah.
can do it much quicker than the average person. I
Yeah.
remember talking to a client, and she was like, well, it took me 2 weeks to get over something.
Mhm.
The other day I had a situation with someone, and I allowed myself to work through it in a matter of a couple minutes.
Yeah.
And, that person was thinking about it all night. So it's just a matter of learning your process, your way, your flow,
Mhm.
and not judging yourself. You're
Yeah.
going to get better the more you do it, the more you
Yeah.
practice.
And,
So,
and yet at the same time, there's still going to be things depending on how deep it runs into your psyche, into your
mhm.
trauma, into your this and that. That there are some things that are still, no matter how advanced you are along the journey, there are still going to be things that take you a while to process.
Right.
It's like an onion.
Yeah, the more.
Every time it's a new layer.
Well, grief. I mean, you don't just get through it. It's
Right.
gonna come back around. The holidays are over. People are feeling better about grief, but it's gonna come and kick you on your butt for something else. So, I want to remind everybody that for the group coaching call, again this week, I am offering it. You're welcome to join in. All you have to do is go over to Odonata, register. You're going to get in tonight for free. We're going to be talking more about this because this is really, really important. And this is a lot about, again, we're asking, we want to do and accomplish things for the new year. But if we're not setting our energy up, we're not going to receive it. So why bother setting goals if you're not going to practice it?
Mm-hmm.
Practice how you need to be in order to receive it. So that's why I'm doing this. It's one thing to write down a bunch of goals, but again, what good is it going to do you if you don't know how to line up with it? So join me tonight on in the community for the weekly group call,
Yeah.
and we will have that conversation. We had a great
Mm-hmm.
conversation last week about setting intentions, and I walked everybody through what that would look like.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we did that. And we're going to kind of report out this week of how we did and how we can do even better. So feel free. You can find me at mokshagrace.com. And Krista, where can they find you?
You can find me on all the different platforms with my name. Let me take this off. Krista Barone, it's right there. Look me up. That's where you can find me. Go to mokshagrace.com, learn more about Michelle, learn more about her offers. And seriously, Odonata is amazing. We've heard great feedback. So mokshagrace.com/community. If you want to get in for the first week to try it for free, comment on this video with community and we'll get in touch with you and get that set up for you. But if you want to just dive in, get started, mokshagrace.com/community.
Perfect. Thank you all for being here. We will see you for Shockingly Delightful on Monday. Next week is a big week, and we should all get our energy together. Lots of changes next week, don't you think? It's a big week.
Not next week, week after.
Oh, it's the week after. Okay.
Yeah. Actually, it's oh my god, it's gonna be. We might have to postpone Shockingly Delightful on the not next week, week after, or we do a live watch.
Reaction video.
We'll play around with it. We'll see.
That could actually be a lot of fun. I love reaction videos.
But I also, at the same time, I want to be able to watch and appreciate it and the
Yeah.
historical moment of it. So I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
Well, you'll hear from us.
Yeah, you'll hear from us. Anyway, have everyone please be safe. Anyone that is in California or knows people in California, please send good love, light, energy their way, and just pray for their safety. Not just the people, but the animals. The tree.
I haven't even thought about that. Please don't go down this route. I need my makeup to hold for the rest of the day. I can't
Okay.
do this.
And yeah, and everyone in the winter storm situation, stay warm, be safe as well. And we will see you next week. Have a
Bye.
great one. Make good choices.
I was just about to say, wait, you didn't say your line.
I know. So every day you get to choose. You get to choose whether it's a good day or a bad day. Choose wisely.